From melodrama to mastery, Lee Min-ho's quiet domination of Korean cinema and global influence. For much of the world, Lee Min-ho is synonymous with the explosive rise of the Hallyu wave, a face instantly recognizable from sweeping romances, impeccably styled heroes, and stories that traveled effortlessly across borders. Yet to confine his legacy to early melodrama is to overlook a far more compelling narrative. Over the past 2 decades, Lee Min-ho has executed one of Korean entertainment's most understated transformations, a gradual shift from romantic icon to disciplined, globally resonant actor whose influence now stretches beyond genre, platform, and geography. His dominance has never been loud. It has been deliberate. The melodrama era, building a global gateway. Lee Min-ho's breakout in Boys Over Flowers, 2009, was not merely a career-defining moment, it was a cultural flashpoint. This series arrived at a time when Korean dramas were finding eager audiences across Asia and beyond, and Lee's portrayal of Gu Junpyo became a gateway for millions discovering K-content for the first time. What distinguished him even then was scale. His performances were built for emotional immediacy, broad gestures, visible longing, romantic excess, perfectly calibrated for melodrama. Critics sometimes dismissed this phase as superficial, but history suggests otherwise. These roles did essential work. They made Lee Min-ho globally legible. He became a familiar emotional language, understood across cultures without translation. Rather than outgrowing this image abruptly, Lee chose to refine it. Strategic evolution, not reinvention. Unlike actors who attempt radical pivots to escape early fame, Lee Min-ho embraced a slower, more strategic evolution. Dramas such as City Hunter, The Heirs, and Legend of the Blue Sea expanded his range while preserving his accessibility. Each project nudged him closer to complexity, introducing moral ambiguity, political tension, or fantasy elements, without alienating the audience that followed him from the beginning. This restraint was intentional. Lee understood that longevity in Korean cinema and television is not built on rejection of the past, but on intelligent accumulation. Each role became a layer, not a replacement. By the time he entered his 30s, Lee Min-ho had quietly recalibrated his screen presence. Less overt charm, more internalized control. Cinema as a test of discipline. Lee Min-ho's relationship with Korean cinema has always been selective rather than prolific. His film choices reflect caution, but also confidence, and understanding that scarcity can enhance impact. Films like Gangnam Blues signaled a turning point, revealing a willingness to embrace physical grit, moral decay, and emotional rawness. This was not a dramatic announcement of artistic seriousness, it was a measured assertion. Lee allowed the work to speak, resisting the temptation to over-explain his choices. In an industry where constant visibility is often mistaken for relevance, his patience stood out. Cinema, for Lee Min-ho, became a proving ground, not for fame, but for craft. The global turn, Apple TV Plus and beyond. Perhaps the most defining chapter of Lee Min-ho's mastery emerged not in local box office success, but in global storytelling. His casting in Apple TV Plus' Pachinko marked a seismic shift, not just for his career, but for how Korean actors are positioned in international narratives. In Pachinko, Lee subverted expectations. His character was restrained, morally complex, and emotionally distant, a sharp departure from the romantic leads that built his fame. This performance required trust, in the script, in silence, and in the audience's willingness to see him anew. The global reception confirmed what many industry observers already suspected. Lee Min-ho's appeal was never limited to genre or nationality. It was rooted in presence. This was mastery without spectacle, quiet domination in a loud industry. What makes Lee Min-ho's influence unique is how rarely he asserts it publicly. He does not chase trends, overexpose his private life, or dominate headlines with controversy. Instead, he allows time, consistency, and selective excellence to do the work. Brands, platforms, and global producers recognize this stability. His international endorsements, festival appearances, and cross-market relevance position him as a bridge between East and West, tradition and modernity, fandom, and critical respect. In many ways, Lee Min-ho represents the evolution of Hallyu itself, no longer novelty-driven, but structurally embedded in global culture. Masculinity rewritten. Another dimension of Lee Min-ho's mastery lies in his evolving portrayal of masculinity. Early roles emphasize dominance and romantic idealism. Later performances introduce vulnerability, restraint, and ethical uncertainty. He no longer needs to win every emotional battle on screen. Sometimes his power lies in withdrawal. This shift mirrors a broader cultural movement within Korean cinema, one that favors emotional realism over idealized heroism. Lee Min-ho did not resist this change. He embodied it. By doing so, he remained relevant without chasing youth or trends. Legacy in motion. Lee Min-ho's career is often described in terms of popularity, but popularity alone does not explain endurance. What sustains him is discipline, an instinct for timing, a respect for audience intelligence, and an understanding that true influence compounds slowly. From melodrama to mastery, his journey illustrates that global dominance does not require constant reinvention or noise. Sometimes, it is the actor who speaks less, chooses carefully, and waits patiently who reshapes the industry most profoundly. As Korean cinema and television continue to expand their global footprint, Lee Min-ho stands not just as a symbol of where Hallyu has been, but as evidence of how quietly powerful it has become.